I am going to explain why I'm in my car, I promise, but first, this video is sponsored by Audible. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment all in one place. And at Audible, you can find the largest selection of audiobooks. You can always find the perfect title for whatever you're feeling, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going, and new members can try Audible for 30 days. With an Audible membership, you can download your title and listen offline anytime, anywhere. The Audible app is free. It can be downloaded on all smartphones and tablets. I say this every single time I have an Audible sponsorship, but you guys know I'm obsessed with anything scary. And I went through a phase where everything I was listening to was like paranormal or scary, like ghost stories. But lately I've been obsessed with stalker stories, and I found this book. It's called Obsession, and it's by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker? I don't know. I started listening to this yesterday and I'm already hooked. Basically, it's a big book about stalking. That's the best way I can put it. It has a lot of criminals in it, and some pretty well-known criminals at that. If you're into true crime, I feel like you would absolutely love this book. But yeah, that's been my obsession recently, which is ironic. Is ironic the right word to use? It's funny because the book is called Obsession, and my current obsession is stalkers. For some reason. If you want to try Audible, all you have to do is go to audible.com/cjades or text cjades to 500-500. Again, that's audible.com/cjades or text cjades to 500-500. I will also have it linked down below. You will get a 30-day free trial, and I highly recommend it. I love Audible. I use them almost daily, especially now, because now I'm going to get into why I'm in my car. This is going to be a very long introduction. I will put a timestamp right here if you want to get to the stories. I'm gonna try to keep it short and simple, but we'll see. It's me, so who knows. So a lot of you might know, if you watched my last video or if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you would know that I went to Disneyland. And here's the funny thing. I came home from Disneyland untouched, unscathed, like nothing happened. And it's funny because, okay, so at Disneyland, you don't have to wear your mask outside, which I think is kind of funny because you're around like thousands and thousands of people. Even though they're not at max capacity, like you wouldn't even know they aren't because there's so many people there. But you would think if something were to happen to me, it would happen to me while I was at Disneyland with thousands of people who God knows who's carrying what. Like, you know, like there had to have been hundreds of people who had COVID. Like, honestly, just thinking, there had to, at least one person had COVID. So I go through this entire trip, nothing happens, I don't get COVID, nothing, absolutely nothing. I don't even know if I have COVID right now, but I'm gonna get to that. I get a call on Tuesday, which is the day that I'm flying back home, and it's from John, and he tells me that his mom has COVID. She tested positive for COVID, and John's mom lives in Kansas, but she was here visiting to watch the dogs because John had to work. He didn't go to Disneyland. So she was watching the dogs while John was at work, and she got COVID. And we don't know how. It was either from traveling, which most likely, or when they went out to dinner, like, who knows. So a couple days go by, like about a week. It's been about a week since then. It's Monday when I'm filming this, but last week was crazy, and John is now sick. So John, we all took tests yesterday, so we'll get the results back probably today or tomorrow when I'm filming this. John most likely has COVID because he has a very, very sore throat, like he can barely speak. It's so bad. And he doesn't really have many other symptoms, but I'm sure it'll get worse as the days progress because his symptoms showed up like a day or two ago. I have nothing so far, and I don't know. I've already had COVID, so I feel like maybe I won't get it again, but I also had it like at the very beginning of COVID, like last March. So I feel like if I had any antibodies, they'd be gone, long gone. So basically, long story short, my house is a COVID house currently. Janice, John's mom, couldn't go home because she had COVID, so she couldn't fly home. So she's been here for a while now. And she's staying in our guest bedroom. She was quarantining herself very well until John got sick. Then it was like inevitable that like if I was gonna get sick, I'm gonna get sick. So she stopped quarantining herself for the most part. She's still in her room a lot of the time, but now that John's sick, if I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna get sick. But I'll keep you guys updated on all of that shit. Oh my god, I don't have service out here, so I don't know if my messages are gonna update. I might have to like literally go inside to get my messages. That's unfortunate. Why does my Wi-Fi not reach my driveway? Hello, Cox, what are you doing? I also don't know how I'm gonna get out of this car because I have trash bags on both sides of me, blocking the doorways. I'm in the back seat. I had to climb over the front seat to get back here because I'm parked on my driveway. John's car is right here. You can probably see it. And there's a big bush out that way. So I'm gonna have to like pull back into my garage to get out of the car. This is so stupid. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Okay, I have to go get service so that I can download the stories. I sent myself pictures of myself from Snapchat, if you're wondering. I'll be right back. Okay, I had to get out of the car and go to my front door to get the stories to load, and I'm probably gonna have to exit the vehicle every single time I need a story to load, so this is not ideal. But did I even say, hey y'all, I'm back, and I have more Let's Not Meet stories that I'm very excited to share with you guys. I literally didn't even say that. I was just about to hop into the stories without saying that. Okay, this is a rough video. Okay, so this first story says, let's not meet the bartender that spiked drinks. This isn't my story, however, I have consent to post this. Something really sinister happened, and I need to spread awareness about this. Trust no one. Also, disclaimer, this talks about sexual assault, however no detail, just mention of it. Bit of context. This happened to my mom's friend. We live in Australia. However, it will be in first person because she helped me write this. So, the night started, we went out for drinks, just myself and a few other mothers. The husbands were all at home looking after the kids all together while we had a night off. I decided to be the designated driver for the night as drinking alcohol was never great for me. I went up to the bar and asked for a Coke, something simple. The bartender gave me a devilish smile and responded, "The machine is broken, I'm gonna go get it from the other side." My stomach dropped. Something just didn't feel right about him. I should have followed him, but I thought I would look crazy. I waited as he placed the Coke on the bar counter. I paid and took a sip. It didn't taste off. I just shrugged it off, thinking I was crazy. He's just a creepy bartender. Not even an hour after I had the drink, my vision was blurred and my body felt limp. The waiter assisting the bartender saw me and asked if I was okay. I slurred my words and asked where the bathroom was. He then said, "Oh, let me take you there." He seemed off as well. Luckily, my friend came up behind me and said, "It's okay, I got it from here." It's like she could sense the weird vibe I had. He persisted, basically saying she was too drunk to look after me, get a man to help her. The way he was acting, why was he trying to get me to the woman's bathroom? My friend dragged me away from the situation and saw the state I was in, connecting the dots that the only drink I had was a soft drink. She called the ambulance and called my husband, saying what happened and how weird it was. My husband, who was sober, realized the bartender must have spiked my drink. Luckily, his brother is a police officer and called him straight after. The night blurred out for me, however. The police investigated it, got security footage, and found that I wasn't the only victim, and this was a regular thing, and the two guys, through a confession, told the police that they would spike ladies' drinks and then the waiter would assist them to the bathroom and would sexually assault them. They are in jail now, but it shows that you need to have 3 rules when getting drinks from the bar. Number 1, watch them pour it, no matter how crazy you look. Number 2, trust your gut. If it's telling you they're sketchy, don't ignore it. Number 3, go out with friends who will be there for you. If it wasn't for my friend, I would be telling a different story. Please be careful, and to those 2 fucked up men, let's not meet. This story makes me, so scared. I'm already scared going out. I don't go out anymore, but, when I used to go out, I was always so scared leaving my drink unattended for even a second, or looking away for even a second, because things can happen like that. But, the men who are supposed to just be, working and, kind of looking out for you, in a sense, are the ones doing it. Can you trust anybody? Honestly. And I gotta get out of my car to get the next story, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. This next story says, almost kidnapped from my dorm. Back in 2014, when I was a freshman in college, I was no stranger to late night shenanigans and drunken escapades on the weekends. A sober friend of mine would always drop me back off at the parking lot by my dorm building, and I would have to walk about 100 yards to the door of the 12-story building I stayed in and let myself in with a key fob before getting on the elevators. Most nights I didn't/wasn't capable of paying attention to my surroundings, but one night in particular my hair was standing on end and something felt off as I struggled in my heels through the grass. This was just enough to cut through the Jell-O shot-induced haze as I instinctively grabbed my key fob from my pocket and picked up the pace a little. It was at this point I noticed a man off to my right standing alone by the dining hall, twice as far east as I was south of the dorm. He was standing still, staring my direction, and his head seemed to be following my movement as I tracked closer to safety. It was very dark, and he was wearing his hood up over his head, not smoking a cigarette, not talking on the phone, just hanging out in the dark where he could barely be seen. I took off running when I realized he was watching me, kicking with the heels and gripping the key fob for dear life, and to my terror, I could hear the pounding of his footsteps as they ran to cut me off before I got to the front door. I'm not sure how I did it, but with my heart pounding in my ears and the adrenaline pushing me along, I got to the entrance with just enough time to unlock the door, run inside, and quickly pull the glass door shut behind me. It was at this point I allowed myself to take another look at the man since there was a door separating us now. He wasn't very tall, maybe 5'8", with an athletic build hidden below the bulk of his hooded sweatshirt. He was wearing a black bandana around his face, pre-pandemic, with the hood up around his head, so all I could see of him was his eyes and the sliver of skin around them. He had stopped dead in his tracks, so no more than 15-20 feet from the door that now stood closed between us. He held my gaze for what felt like an eternity before turning and running off in the direction of the parking lot where I'm sure he had a vehicle waiting. I made a statement to campus police with the help of my RA, but there wasn't much they could do since no crime was committed, and I couldn't describe him very well. Needless to say, I slept with a deadbolt on my door for weeks after and avoided being out around my dorm past dark. So to the guy who almost kidnapped me from my dorm building in the middle of the night, let's not meet again. That was always my fear with living in apartments because my apartment in Louisville when I lived in Texas, it was scary and there was no assigned parking spots. So if I got home late, you'd essentially just have to park I didn't have assigned spots at either of my apartment complexes in Texas, which is weird. So at both apartment complexes, if I got home late, I would have to park very far away from my building and I would like sprint. Because where I lived, where I lived the first time wasn't that bad. It was just not the nicest area. And there was a really creepy stairwell to get to my second floor apartment, so I would like sprint through it. It was so scary. But at my second apartment in Plano, downstairs from my apartment, like across the street a little bit, was a nightclub and a bar, a very popular bar. And so there's drunk people everywhere walking around, people live in this apartment complex. And if I had to walk a fair distance, I was so scared, especially being like sober. And I don't know, when I was drunk, because I would go to that bar often. When I was drunk, I didn't care, and I always had people with me. But when I was alone walking and there's just like drunk people around me, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, no, I don't. I hate that. I hate it. And now I gotta go and get the story. This story says, creepy old man that was obsessed with me and tried to kidnap me when I was 4. Hey Courtney, the story's kind of short, but I just remembered about it when I was binge watching your videos, so I decided to share. Let me start off with some background information. My mother and I used to live with my grandmother in a small local city. We lived in the downtown area, so the houses were lined side by side up and down both sides of the street. My grandmother owns a house that is only 2 houses away from the end of the road. So it's my Gram's house, another house on the left, one more, and then the intersection. On the grass before the intersection is a big hedgerow, and as you may know, the front yards are not very big for townhomes. Anyways, when I was 4 or so, my grandmother and grandfather bought their house. My mother and I moved in and we became close with all of our neighbors. They would come over, hang out, and I would play with their kids outside, and they would come over and swim in the pool. My grandparents became well known and got to know the neighbors fast. There was a man who rode an electric scooter thing, and we would see him going up and down the street multiple times a day, but they just thought he lived in the area and was taking a stroll. However, this became more often, and my grandmother would often catch him going up and down the sidewalk slowly, multiple times, staring at me. He would sit behind the hedgerow that I had mentioned before and stare at me playing in the yard, and they'd even caught him doing dirty things to himself at the sight of me. He would also use a camera and take photos and videos of me outside, and which I do not know the intended use for. My family had never met this man or knew him, and it was to the point he would sit outside of my Gram's house waiting for me to come out, and he would try to get me to go with him. The neighbors and other people on the street said this man would tell everyone I was his daughter or his niece, and that he claimed to be close with me. I did not know this man. Also, since they were so close, they would call my grandma and tell her when he was sitting out front waiting. The one time that really sticks out to me is when I was playing outside and my grandmother was on the swing on the porch and this man came on the sidewalk that leads to her front steps and grabbed me. My grandmother does not put up with this BS and chased him down and beat his ass. Yes, Grandma! And other times when I was outside and my grandmother had seen him, she grabbed me and took me in the house and had locked me in the bathroom, and that man came on her porch asking for me and told her that he hears voices in his head telling him to do really bad things to me and he was going to kidnap me. Luckily, my gran, being the badass woman she is, carried a handgun on her and pulled it out and told him if he ever came to this house or looked at me again, she would shoot him without hesitation. She notified the cops and we had constant watch as they knew about the constant harassment he was putting my family through. We've never seen the man after this, but I found out a few years later that he went to prison for R-word and kidnapping multiple children. My grandmother took the situation really seriously after that, and I was not allowed to go outside without her, my mom, or my grandfather. They even went as far as replacing the locks on the house and putting in a big privacy fence out back. He even installed security cameras so in case the man came back, we would know. I'm so thankful for my grandparents taking the situation as seriously as they did. I'm horrified to even think of what could have happened to me. So creepy man that tried to kidnap me when I was 4, let's never meet again. Oh my god. Okay, I don't like that story. That story is really scary. And I picked a really bad day to have 4 stories in the video. I'll be right back. Oh my god. Okay, that's a lot Last time I have to do that, thank the Lord. I'm out of breath. I do like a little run to my front door and then do a little run back to the car. I don't want people, like my neighbors probably see me and they're probably like, what the fuck? Okay, and this last story says, creepy Uberman, let's not meet. I love Uber stories. I don't know why. They freak me out, like, to my core, but I really like reading them, so I'm excited for this one. I haven't read it yet. They said, hello, I love your channel, and I'd like to share my intense Uber experience. This story was about 3 years ago when I was 24. I live in North Jersey, just across the Hudson River from the city. My best friend and I used to love the nightlife in Manhattan pre-pandemic. The best option for us to get there is the Path train station that takes you right into the city, which I only live about 15 minutes away from. That way we can drink and dance all night and not have to worry about driving home or spending extra money on an Uber from Jersey to New York. So we got all dressed up and called an Uber to drive us from my place to the station. The Uberman greeted us by saying hello and looking at us up and down. He instantly started having a conversation with us. So where are you ladies going tonight? I said, into the city. My friend tells him exactly which club we're going to. I shot her a look. I didn't want him knowing where we were going to be. He excitedly said, oh, that sounds fun. Why don't I drive you guys straight to it? I say, the path is fine. He goes on, oh no, it's really no trouble at all. No thank you, I state again. He moves on. You know, I know a great party that is happening tonight. Why don't you guys come along? He says. We're gonna stick to our plans tonight, I say. He seems annoyed that I'm shutting down all of his offers. I will say his aura was just uncomfortable. The man had to be in his late 30s, smelled bad, and did not take care of his appearance or his vehicle. I knew he was just trying his chances with us, but it was not happening. As he drives us towards the path, he proceeds to tell us about how much he hated his ex-girlfriend because she cheated on him, and basically how much he can't stand women in general, as if our gender as a whole has done nothing but bruise his ego his entire life. His misogynistic vibe was now making me annoyed, so I stayed quiet and looked out the window. My friend is nicer than I am to men, so she stayed engaged with him. I'm usually the protective one in the group, and I felt it in that moment. He drives toward the station entrance, and I say, okay, this is it. He doesn't stop right away. I say it more firmly now, stop here. He does and pulls over. I start grabbing my purse and my phone, and he turns around to face us. You know, ladies, I'd love to take down your numbers. Do you guys have a boyfriend? Yes, my friend says. I don't even answer. I just look at him like, are you kidding me, dude? I go to open the door and he locks it from the driver's side door. I don't want you guys to leave without getting a number, he says while looking at us. My friend tries to unlock the door. He locks it. Listen, we're not going to give you our number. Now stop it and let us out, I say intently. He gives me a filthy look and says, what is your damn problem? I just want to get your number. My friend tries to unlock it and he locks it again. Now I'm fuming with anger. So I go into my purse and take out my switchblade. I hold it in my hand for him to see. My friend's eyes are wide open now. I look at him with the most intimidating look I could ever give to somebody while I pointed to my friend's door. You are going to let her unlock the door. Do you understand? I said under gritted teeth. As I said this, my friend unlocks the door and quickly opens it. He had a look of astonishment on his face. I successfully distracted him with my scare tactic. He realized we weren't playing around, and he says, whatever, go enjoy your night. I change my vibe instantly as I get out of the car and say, have a great night, with a smirk. I put my knife back into my bag and slam his door shut. As we walked away, I took out my phone and reported him on Uber. I also didn't tip him. I know it may seem dramatic to pull out a weapon in that moment, but unfortunately, it's sometimes the only way to get the message across to someone to back off. It's not always easy. Each situation is different, but it's vital to give off a body language that expresses, I'm not one to fuck with. The city has taught me a lot about self-preservation. So, to the Uberman who wouldn't let me and my friend out of his car, let's never meet again. Oh my god, I don't know what I would do in that situation. Like, if he kept locking the door on me, oh my god, I would just give up. I'd be like, I'm just dead. Like, I don't know what to do. And, okay, I don't care. Okay, I probably shouldn't say this, like, out loud. I need to get mace or something like that. Like, I don't carry anything with me. I used to carry a hammer around with me, but it was only because it was a cute hammer. It was pink. I need to start carrying stuff with me, but I also don't leave my house, like, ever. But I'm gonna get mace. I'm gonna get pepper spray very soon. But you're so lucky you had something on you that you could just pull out and be like, let me out of the car. And I don't think you were being dramatic. I really don't. Like, he wasn't letting you out of the car. He was locking the door as you were trying to exit the vehicle. I don't think you were being dramatic in the slightest bit. I would have been terrified. I would have done the same thing. Well, that is all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry this video has been chaotic and stupid and I'm in my car. Hopefully, because I think John's mom, because it'll be 10 days from when her symptoms started on Wednesday, so she'll leave towards the end of this week, or she should be. She wants to leave towards the end of this week. I don't know if she'll be able to, but that's kind of the plan right now. Like I said, we all got tested yesterday, so we'll have our results pretty soon. So I should know by like today or tomorrow. I'm also really hoping, because I don't have the air on very high. The air is on like 2 notches because it's really hot here. It's like, it was like 80 degrees, which isn't super hot, but I'm sitting in a car where the sun is beaming down, so it's a little hot, and I'm in a sweater. So I'm hoping the air is not too loud and you can't hear the engine running of the car, because if you can, then this video is like not usable. But it's not very loud to me, so I don't think it'll be loud in the video. Like, it's not loud at all, so I don't think the video will really catch it. Although the air is pushing right at the camera, so I don't really know. If it's not that bad, I'm uploading this video, so it sucks. But I'm gonna go. I feel like I rambled a lot in this video. I read 4 stories. I want to get out of my back seat, so I'm gonna go. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Probably in my car. Bye. This is so dumb. This is so stupid. My neighbors probably see me and they're like, what on earth? Like, they already don't like us because we're renting. Like, one of our neighbors one time, John got into a fight with our neighbor because, I don't know. It was a long story. John didn't do anything. But the neighbor was like, oh, renters. Like, what? Like, what is the difference? Like, it's so stupid. So they're probably like, oh my God, the renters in our car running back and forth doing nonsense with a giant camera. I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. This is like, oh, and the reason I'm filming in my car is because I didn't even say this, so you're probably like, what is going on? I don't like filming with people in my house. That's what I was meaning to mention earlier, but I didn't. I don't like filming with people in my house because it makes me anxious and I'm awkward and I mess up a lot, especially when I'm like rambling. Like, I don't know, I just feel like people are judging me. And so I wanted to film in my car, so I wasn't filming around people, but I feel like this is worse. Like, I feel like this is 10 times worse, but I got through the video and I wasn't anxious until now. Oh God. Oh, I hope they're not stopping at my house because I don't want to leave my car. I don't think that was Amazon though. Okay, well, whatever. I'm gonna end the video. See ya.